Let's go Broncos! Something unexpected is happening inside the Denver Broncos organization right now, and it involves two rookies who may be much closer to making a major impact than anyone originally anticipated. When the Broncos selected these players, most people expected development, patience, and a gradual path toward bigger roles. But after everything that has happened throughout rookie minicamp, OTAs, and mandatory minicamp, there are now growing signs that both Jonah Coleman and Tyler Wanedum could become important contributors much sooner than expected. And here's what makes this story even more fascinating. One Broncos source believes both rookies could end up earning starting-level opportunities. Now, before anyone gets too carried away, we need to understand what that actually means in Denver. The Broncos rotate players constantly. They substitute heavily. Sometimes being listed as a starter doesn't necessarily mean you're playing the most snaps. The real question is simple: which of these rookies is going to earn the biggest role when the season begins? But before we continue, make sure you've already hit the like button if you're excited about the future of this Broncos roster. And if you truly believe Denver is building something special, comment this right now. Go Broncos! The future is brighter than ever. Now let's get right into it. Let's start with Jonah Coleman because his rise during the offseason has been impossible to ignore. According to the information coming out of Denver, Coleman has impressed throughout rookie minicamp, OTAs, and mandatory minicamp. Even though he is currently listed as RB3, there is a growing belief that his role could be much larger than that designation suggests. The reason is simple: his skill set jumps off the page. When you look at what Coleman accomplished coming into the NFL, you start to understand why so many people inside the organization are excited about him. He has been described as a runner with outstanding vision, tremendous balance, creative instincts when plays break down, and elite production after contact. And the numbers are impressive. Last season, 35% of his rushing attempts resulted in either a first down or a touchdown, leading his entire draft class. An incredible 71% of his rushing yards came after contact, also leading the class. And his ability as a receiver out of the backfield stood out as well, averaging 12.4 yards after the catch. But it doesn't stop there. Throughout his college career, Coleman handled 639 touches and lost only one fumble. He was targeted 123 times and recorded only one drop. Add in one of the best pass-blocking grades among running backs entering the draft, and suddenly you have a player who can contribute in nearly every situation. That versatility matters, because the Broncos don't need him to become the lead back immediately. The expectation is that J.K. Dobbins remains the primary running back. However, Coleman appears perfectly suited to carve out a significant complementary role. Whether it's third and short situations, pass protection, screen plays, or short yardage runs, there are already clear pathways for him to see the field early. The projection discussed suggests Coleman could see roughly 1/3 of the offensive snaps during his rookie season. That may not sound overwhelming at first, but within Sean Payton's rotation-heavy system, that would represent a substantial role for a first-year player. And honestly, Broncos country, if Coleman performs the way he is throughout the offseason, it would not be surprising to see that workload increase as the season progresses. Now let's turn our attention to the other rookie generating serious buzz: Tyler Wanedum. The more information that comes out of Denver, the more difficult it becomes to ignore the excitement surrounding this young defensive lineman. According to reports, Wanedum has already been drawing rave reviews inside the building. Multiple observations from OTAs and minicamp noted his ability to burst through the line of scrimmage and quickly fit into running lanes, creating immediate disruption. And physically, he certainly looks the part. Standing 6'3" and weighing 292 pounds, Wanedum brings impressive athletic traits to the defensive front. His explosiveness, first-step quickness, and overall movement skills have consistently been highlighted throughout evaluations. But perhaps the most encouraging detail involves something fans never see during games: his preparation. One of the biggest compliments mentioned was his commitment to film study. Coaches and teammates have reportedly noticed how seriously he approaches the mental side of football. In fact, the discussion specifically referenced veteran Zach Allen taking notice of Wanedum's dedication in the film room. That kind of praise carries weight. Veteran players don't hand out compliments easily, especially when it comes to rookies. The challenge for Wanedum, however, is opportunity. The Broncos already possess a strong defensive line rotation featuring established contributors. Because of that depth, earning a starting position immediately may be difficult. The expectation discussed is that Malcolm Roach currently holds the inside track for those primary snaps, while Wanedum enters as part of the rotational package. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. For many young defensive linemen, rotational snaps provide the perfect environment to develop while still making meaningful contributions. The Broncos can keep players fresh, maintain energy throughout games, and gradually increase responsibilities as confidence grows. That's where Juanito's path appears to be heading. Not necessarily becoming an every-down starter immediately, but becoming an important piece of one of the deepest defensive line rotations in football. When you step back and look at the entire situation, it's easy to understand why these two rookies are generating so much attention. Jonah Coleman brings versatility, toughness, ball security, receiving ability, and pass protection. Tyler Juanito brings athleticism, disruption, work ethic, and developmental upside. Neither player may officially begin the season as a full-time starter, but both appear to be positioning themselves for meaningful roles. And if they continue building on what they've already shown throughout the offseason, Broncos fans could be talking about these two rookies as some of the biggest steals from the entire 2026 rookie class by the end of the season. The excitement is growing. The coaching staff is paying attention. And now the spotlight shifts to training camp, where both Jonah Coleman and Tyler Juanito will have the opportunity to prove that the offseason hype is real. What makes this entire situation even more interesting is that neither of these rookies arrived in Denver with the expectations that normally surround first-round selections. There were no massive headlines predicting immediate stardom. There were no guarantees that either player would become a major contributor right away. Yet here we are, only months after they entered the building, and both players are being discussed as legitimate pieces of the Broncos' plans moving forward. And that's exactly how successful organizations build long-term depth. Not every important player enters the league with superstar expectations. Sometimes the players who become the most valuable are the ones who quietly earn trust day after day behind the scenes. That appears to be exactly what Jonah Coleman and Tyler Juanito are doing. Let's go back to Coleman for a moment. One thing that stood out throughout the discussion was how complete his game already appears to be. Normally when rookie running backs arrive, there is at least one major concern. Maybe they struggle in pass protection. Maybe they have ball security issues. Maybe they aren't polished receivers. But the information discussed suggests Coleman checks nearly every box. He protects the football. He catches the football. He blocks. He creates yardage after contact. And perhaps most importantly, he consistently keeps plays alive when things break down. That type of skill set often earns playing time quickly because coaches trust players who can contribute in multiple situations. Think about how valuable that becomes during a long NFL season. There will be games where Denver needs physical rushing yards. There will be games where pass protection becomes critical. There will be games where a running back needs to create offense after a play falls apart. Coleman has shown traits that suggest he can help in all three areas. That's why so many people are paying attention to his development. And then there's Juanito. His situation may be even more intriguing because defensive line rotations have become incredibly important in today's NFL. Very few defensive linemen stay on the field every snap. Teams need waves of players. They need energy. They need fresh legs. They need versatility.